over the years, we see improvements in both socio-economic influences of the physically challenged in government policies on disability. This progress is commendable and we must not lose sight of. However, very few people are optimistic about the future. We continue to see governments liberating the physically challenged through maximizing the choice and control they have over their lives. This is called independent living. Today on the show, we have Mr. Nicodemus Makau, founder and director of an organization, Independent Disabled Persons of Kenya, and Ms. Josephine Mwende, a business entrepreneur. They will help us understand the challenges that the physically challenged go through in their daily lives, and also they will share with us insights on what they believe can be done to ensure effective implementation of these policies. I am Kinamdali Kagoya, and this is Africa's Disability Dialogues. Today we will be focusing and discussing the role of National Council of Persons with Disabilities. This is a state corporation established by an Act of Parliament, the People with Disabilities Act number 14 of 2003, and set up in November 2004. Welcome on board, Mr. Makau and Ms. Mwende.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are aware of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities,
Yes.
and their programs in helping to assist people with disabilities live an independent life. One of their programs is National Development Fund for People with Disabilities. And through this, they are able to give assistive devices and services for proper function of the physically challenged. Mr. Makau, are you aware of this?
Yes. For me, I've been one of the beneficiaries. I have gotten a clutch that supports me in terms of movement.
Mobility.
Yes.
How was the procedure of getting this?
What I did, we have forms whereby you fill, then you take them to the offices for the National Council for Persons Living with Disability.
Where did you get this form?
For me, I went to the offices here in Nairobi, Rehema House. Yes.
For someone who is in the rural villages of Kenya, say Marsabit, how are they able to access that specific form?
In our counties, we have offices, but the issue is people, most of the people living with disabilities, they are not aware of those forms.
Forms or the services that are offered?
The services and also all about the forms. Yes.
In essence, you mean there is no proper communication to communicate to the group and tell them that this is what the council does, this is what they offer. You're trying to imply that they need to communicate better so that these people are aware of what is provided.
Yes. For example, for me, I've been meeting even my colleagues who are in Nairobi, and also they also ask me how I got my clutch. So most of the time, I have been sharing with them how I got it, and for them, it has been like they have no that information. If in Nairobi, some of us who are living with disability, they have no idea what about mashinani or what about sub-country, which means there is a bit issue there.
The process is very difficult. And how long did it take you to get this clutch after beginning the process of applying for it?
For me, what I did when I applied for the clutch, it took almost 1 week because I did also a follow-up. But for someone who is in up country, when you fill the form, they are brought here in the headquarters National Council offices. So for him it will be somehow difficult because at the end of the day, even if he is not the one who is bring the forms.
Because he's not able to move?
Yes.
Yeah. Mwende, we also have economic empowerment that is given by the council to community and self-help groups. Are you aware of this, and do you know a group that has been able to benefit from this fund?
Yes, I'm aware of the fund that's given by the National Council for persons with disabilities, and I know of a group which applied for a grant and they were given. But the challenge is it takes quite some time, and maybe your project is, maybe you need an urgent fund.
Yeah.
So it takes quite some time for you to be given that grant.
What is the time frame we are talking about?
Let's say like you may apply, but it takes like, let's say 1 year or less.
1 year?
Yeah.
1 year is a very long time, especially for a need that was urgent. What are your thoughts and what do you think can be done to make sure that once application starts, that these people are able to get the money within the shortest time possible?
It would be better for the National Council to make it maybe a week, the longest time maybe a week, because you cannot apply for a grant if you're not in need of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think, that person who is also again in the rural part of Kenya, are they aware of this grant? And even if they're able to get this grant, do they have the business skills to be able to manage this amount of money and also to put this money in their business and be able to get profits out of it, considering that most people with physical challenges have not been able to go to school? Who helps them in the management? Does the council give classes, or do they have trainings before this? They give this money to people so that they can be able to have the skills required.
To be sincere, this is a great challenge, because those people who are in rural areas, they may not be aware of these grants. They may not be aware of the services that the National Council are offering for that. So that's a big challenge. For example, if a person with disability, it can take a long time for him or her to know if they give such services. For most of them, maybe you are there in the rural areas, you don't have mobility, you just stay at home, and maybe your mother doesn't know anything about disability, or you have never heard anything about it. That's a big challenge.
Mr. Makau, we're also aware about cash transfer funds that the council gives to caregivers of people with disabilities. How much is this money, and is this money sustainable to uphold a household?
For me, cash transfer, most of us, people living with disability, are given.
Yeah.
But for the one to qualify, they are not, they are the one who have severe disability. So most of us, like me and others, we don't benefit from the cash transfer.
Talking about their program on cash transfer funds, how much is this money? And it is specifically said that it is only given to someone who has a severe disability. How much is the money, and is it sustainable to hold an entire household?
The money which is given to the people living with disability is not enough.
How much?
2,000 per month, and it will take longs for them to disperse the money.
2,000 shillings a month?
Yes.
That is not enough for someone with a severe disability, because this person needs a full-time caregiver, and also they would need things like diapers, which are very expensive. So 2,000 is really little amount of money. And also it is written that someone cannot benefit from this money if they are enrolled in another transfer fund. Do you think that is fair?
That is not fair. Even for us, people who are living with disability, we are not all benefiting from that money, cash transfer, because it benefits the people with severe disability. For example, cerebral palsy, whereby you will find most of us, people who are disabled, we are not beneficiaries, even to other funds, so we are not benefiting.
So you're only limited to these 2,000 shillings a month?
Yes.
Which is really is not enough for any person, not just an entire household. Mwende, have you able to benefit from the 2,000 shillings? Have you tried accessing it?
Yeah, excessive, but I was told they are made for the severe persons with disability. And for me, I can walk around, I can talk. That is what I was told. I don't qualify.
Because you're able to walk, because you're able to talk, you're not eligible for that amount of money. And if in case you are just eligible at your state the way you are, how much would 2,000 do for you?
Maybe that's just for maybe transport for 1 day and breakfast. That's all. Breakfast and fare.
It would not even take you the entire week.
No.
It is not enough. Yet we are told that this person is specifically supposed to rely on this transfer alone and not be enrolled in any other. This does not bring us to an inclusive society. It is not equal, it is not fair for any human being to rely on such an amount, right?
Yes.
Infrastructure, community transport, matatus. What are the challenges that you go through in using these things every day? Mr. Makau.
And in terms of transport, we have a big challenge because most of the matatus, and even not for us as we are sharing here, but so about the people who are using wheelchairs. Most of the matatus, the publics, most of them, the people using wheelchairs.
Yeah.
It has been a challenge, and also in terms of buildings, you will find most of the buildings, they are stairs.
Yeah.
They don't have lifts,
Or ramps.
and they don't have ramps.
Yeah.
So it is a big challenge.
What is the difference between Kenya and Rwanda? Because recently we saw Rwanda, they launched buses that are able to bring on board people with disabilities. They have, where we use steps, they have put a ramp that someone who is using a wheelchair will comfortably use it to get inside the bus. What is this big difference that they have done that we are not able to do and be able to bring infrastructure that benefits everyone in the society?
For me, I can say Rwanda, they have policies like us.
But also
But
in
the
Kenya-
difference, where it is between Rwanda and our country, Kenya, is all about implementation. If the policies which we have, they are good for us, but the bad effect of it is all about implementation. If they can implement those policies, we will
Would
by
be
like,
very far.
yes, like
Yeah.
even more better than Rwanda.
Rwanda itself.
Yes.
Mwende, what would you say about infrastructure?
Many buildings, they are not disability friendly. You come to find like a person who uses a wheelchair has an interview, and that interview is taking place in the fourth floor.
Yeah.
In that building, there is no lamp, there is no lift,
Yeah.
and nobody knows about it. So you come on time, and you just there. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So you find that you just end up losing that opportunity because of that. And
Yeah.
not that is not a problem. You came on time, and you find that the place is not accessible.
Yeah. So in essence, you're saying the government is limiting the choice and control that people with disabilities have by not ensuring that they're able to access all life's opportunities like the rest of the people.
Sure, I think not that every building must have a lamp and must have a lift.
That is what inclusion is.
Yeah, that is what inclusion is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Makau, what is the way forward for those people with disabilities in the rural communities to be able to access these assistive devices and lead a productive life?
For me, I think it's all about involving all the devices and also what is required to create awareness in terms of the forms which we are supposed to fill. So I think the main issue is all about
Devolving these services so that they are not required to travel all the way to Nairobi to be able to access them.
Yes.
Ms. Mwende, what is your view on transport?
the government should come up with accessible buses for the persons with disabilities so that they can be self-reliable. They don't have to go with someone. They should be independent.
And also still to you, what do you think can be done to ensure that we have accessible infrastructure where the people living with disabilities are able to go into buildings without support because the government has put them in mind?
Every building in Kenya should have a lift and a ramp for a person with a disability to access.
Yeah. That will make them have the choice and control over their own lives, and that is independent living. On economic empowerment, what can also be done to ensure that the time frame is limited and the procedure also should not be very hectic but allow people access it easily?
The National Council should shorten the period to award the grants because some of them are urgent and they are needed.
And they also say that these grants are available throughout the year. So I'm wondering, why does it take that long, like a year, for someone or a group to be able to get that amount of money if it is already available?
They should take 2 days. If the longest time, maybe 2 days will be okay.
Because already you are registered with them, so all they need is just to go through the form and confirm that this is a group that exists and give the money that is intended for the cause.
Once you have everything that it takes for you to be given that grant.
Thank you so much for coming, our guests. That was an insightful session. That's all we had for today. We have so much more coming up for you. The conversation does not need to end here. You can follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Africa's Disability Dialogues. I am your host, Kinamdali Kagoya, and this is Africa's Disability Dialogues.